The Full Circle Podcast. Compelling interviews and incredible tales from Colorado's western slope, from the mountains to the desert. Christy Reese and her team hear from the movers, shakers, and characters of the Grand Valley and surrounding mountain towns that make the western slope the place we all love. You'll learn, you'll laugh, you'll love with The Full Circle. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Full Circle Podcast with the Christy Reese Group. I'm Christy Reese, and today I'm honored to have as our guest Elizabeth Fogarty, the director of the Visit Grand Junction. So it used to be the Visitor and Convention Bureau, right? But that changed before you came.
Correct. Just
Grand
before
Junction.
I arrived. Mm-hmm. Our industry, we're known as destination marketing organizations, and we are a department of the city of Grand Junction. Somewhat unusual, about 25% of DMOs in the country are a division of the city, and others are a separate taxing district.
Okay. And what about Palisade and Fruita? Do they have their own destination marketing organizations, or do you cover those areas of the county as well?
They do have their own. However, we do market the entire area. Consumers don't see boundaries, and they primarily think through activities and experiences they want. So primarily Visit Grand Junction does talk about all the activities in the entire valley, but Palisade and Fruita do have their own tourism boards as well.
Okay, awesome. So Elizabeth, tell us a little bit about how you got to Grand Junction and how long you've been here and your tenure with Visit Grand Junction.
Yeah, thanks. Been in Grand Junction just 22 and a half years, a short time. Originally from Western New York, grew up south of Buffalo and started my career in Buffalo with Delaware North Companies. They're very large, one of the largest privately held hospitality company in the world, $3 billion company, and was really fortunate to start with them in their corporate marketing department. So I was exposed to some pretty progressive business industry and stayed with them for quite some time. From Buffalo, I moved to Syracuse and then Denver at the old Stapleton Airport. I'm dating myself. And then to Boston, they moved me there. And then my last stint with Delaware North was in Yosemite National Park. So that was their first Park Service contract. They took over for Curry Company, and I was managing the Wawona Hotel, which was really interesting. It was in the red at the time, and they said, turn it around in a year, get us in the black, and we did it in 6 months.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and then decided to take a break. I had a brother in Colorado Springs who was retiring from the Air Force, so decided to catch up with family and worked at the Broadmoor Hotel for 6 years when Gaylord owned it. And then kind of migrated my way north, worked in Denver for a consulting company, primarily working with boutique hotels on the East Coast. And then Boulder, and then Estes Park for 13 years. So that's where I resided prior to coming to Grand Junction. And honestly, I owe a big part of being here to Debbie Kovalik. We were at a conference in Colorado Springs, a hotel conference, and she shared that that she was retiring and I should consider the position in Grand Junction. So I was somewhat familiar. I was a typical front ranger, somewhat familiar.
Right. You knew it was over here on this side of the state somewhere. Yes. You probably stopped to get gas on your way to Utah.
Exactly. We call it in our office now gas and Gatorade. And everything we do is to avoid the gas and Gatorade consumer. In fact, we have research now that says if they stay a certain amount of time in the Grand Junction area, they actually return. So yes, I was one of those. I'm glad I had that experience because it allows us to have really good insight now that we're trying to convert.
Right. You know what it's like to be a consumer out there wandering around Colorado and wondering what all these places are about.
Exactly. And I was just blown away. My husband and I came out here to spend some time and be incognito and really delve into the community. Spent time at local restaurants and sat at the bar at Bin and just talked to the bartenders and said who we were. Oh, we're front rangers just visiting. What's it like to live here? What's it like to visit? We learned so much. And then we really got excited, and I really wanted the position so much, having spent some time here. But again, Debbie kind of put that bug in my ear, and she deserves a lot of credit for the foundation that she created. That lodging tax didn't exist. But Grand Junction was one of the first to have a lodging tax in the state, and that was under Debbie's leadership. So we still lean on a lot of the learnings that she created with her team, and we've kind of taken it to the next iteration of where marketing is now.
And I think we're really lucky to have you. Obviously, you've got an incredible marketing background. And I think when you came to town, we all thought, oh my gosh, do we deserve this? You're going to do great things. And I think you really have. So we appreciate that. Did you go to school for marketing?
I did. I primarily majored in marketing and accounting. And my emergogenics kind of balances that out. I have a lot of creativity side and then an analytical side, and all of that really aligns itself with marketing, especially in today's industry where our actionable insights truly come from data as opposed to anecdotal information or feelings.
Right. So that's a great segue, because I wanted to ask you about the analytical data and how are you relying on that now, and how is that different from the way we used to market to people?
It's really exciting. The data really began in the hospitality industry with retail and restaurants. The data companies could wrap their hands around the widget they were selling, whether it was a restaurant meal or a piece of clothing or a toy, right? It was tangible. And tourism was really slow with the data because these technology companies couldn't really wrap their head around tourism. We don't have a tangible thing. We're marketing an experience, and we're creating relationships with our community and then the broader area we're marketing to. So it only happened recently. Even when I was in Estes, we were wanting to lean into the data, but the companies were saying, we can offer you this data, but there really wasn't a connection to the ROI and a direct connection to the consumer. Anonymized data and aggregated data, but there still wasn't that connection like they had with retail and restaurants. So when I came here, we started reaching out to those companies and helping them say, listen, treat us as a restaurant, draw a geo around the city of Grand Junction or downtown, and let's treat that as a retail shop or a restaurant. And we worked with some really progressive companies that were willing to do that. And then while we were doing that, larger companies were coming up the ranks and seeing the light with tourism. And it literally happened just in the last year and a half, 2 years, where we are where we are now, where we can align the data with the consumers we're looking for. And marketing done in a responsible way is about, again, creating relationships. So we want to speak to the people that want to hear from us. And if they don't, we don't want to be sending them ads. And traditionally marketing, we all remember, right? We were getting ads from a variety of places. So on one hand, people may say, I don't want to be tracked. And I don't like using that word, but publicly, those conversations are happening right now. But what's actually happening is brands now have access to data, again, anonymized, that allow us to speak to the people that want to be spoken to. So instead of me getting ads in my margin that are polyester plaid pants, I'm getting ads in the margin of things that I'm looking for or
recommended for you based on your other choices.
Exactly. So it's making our life easier.
It does creep some people out.
Yes.
But it also, when it nails it, you're like, oh gosh, I hadn't heard of that book or that music or that product, and it is something that I would like because I did like this other thing.
Exactly. And we're becoming reliant on it. For example, when I was looking a couple years ago with those food delivery companies, right? They send you a kit, you make it that evening.
Right.
I researched one and I expected all of them to show up in my margin, make my life easier. I don't have time to go find you. I don't even remember all your names. I think I remembered HelloFresh, but there was many out there. They all showed up but one. And I was aggravated with the one because I had to go find it. I mean, I had to go research all of them to make a decision, which is a little obsessive, but we're becoming more and more reliant on the information. And at the end of the day, you can clear your cookies and show off ads. And if I'm served up an ad that's not appropriate to my hobbies or something I'm looking for, it just takes a second to click on it and say, I don't want to be served up these ads. And if you really lean into it, it really helps your lifestyle. And if you choose not to, you can shut them off as well.
So can you tell us what kind of data is the perfect Grand Junction visitor showing us? I mean, how are you targeting?
Yeah, it really depends on season and activity. If it's a specific event that we're looking to help, of course, pre-COVID, we would use that data.
When we had events.
and seek out that information. So it depends if we're talking season or event, or sometimes it's just the quality consumer. So we know that, no surprise, Salt Lake City is the number one origin market to Grand Junction, for out of state. But Boise has a longer length of stay. So from a destination management standpoint, we won't ignore Salt Lake City, but we might lean into a city with a longer length of stay, because quality of life is always our number one strategy. We know that if we enjoy our lifestyle here, people will want to visit. But if we encroach on our amazing quality of life, which is why we all came here, then why would people visit if we start encroaching on that and we're not happy as residents? So our filter is always what will help and benefit the community enough where we're not encroaching on quality of life. Cities pop up unexpectedly, like Albuquerque has been surfacing, and
just
everyone's
all of a sudden
surprised.
it emerges, and you
and we're able to track it. And then if we triangulate our data as well, so we don't use any one data source, that's a risky way of going down a rabbit hole, and data is not always correct. So we triangulate as much as we can. Sometimes we'll use an ad tech company for a little while, achieve some learnings, and then we'll shift to another. But when we are able to consistently see good data, we'll often share it. For example, we shared the Albuquerque story with CMU, and we said this might be a great opportunity for your admissions office. So the marketing department has been looking into that as well. And then Chicago's another good example. Long before the negotiation was happening for that direct flight that we were getting in the summer, we knew that there was a lot of potential for Chicago and Grand Junction. It was a growing market for Colorado, and our data showed it was a growing market here, even without the flight. So literally 2.5 years ago, we were marketing, and still do, to Chicago heavily, and it's one of our top cities, even now without the direct flight.
Wow. And what do you think the attraction is? What makes Chicago folks like Grand Junction? What is it about our area? Yeah,
every city's a little different, and we're learning more about that. We're getting those learnings a little more in state, especially with COVID. We're doing more marketing focus in state, so we know the leanings of Arvada versus Littleton versus Denver. Arvada, our data is showing there's a lot of scuba divers in Arvada. I saw this in Colorado Springs too. When I lived in Colorado Springs, it was like the number one scuba store west of the Mississippi, other than the coast. It was like odd hobbies, right? It's not unusual. It gets this cult following. So we're not sending scuba ads to Arvada, but we can navigate.
Lake, though. I mean, come on.
We can maybe show up in their feed if they have a preponderance to wanting to be outside and like outdoor recreation, things like that. Chicago, it's definitely the wide open spaces and getting away from the city. So we also use programmatic content. So when Chicago goes to our website, they likely see a Hello Chicago message and then something that speaks to them. And that goes back to the relationship building. We do that for all our direct flight cities. It's really fun.
That does sound fun, because you get to learn about these other places and other populations. I have a realtor friend in Fredericksburg, Texas, and I was looking at my Facebook feed, and she said, we just had the best time in Colorado and Utah. And they did a big trip where they did some river rafting, I believe, over in around Moab, and then some four-wheeling, and then they went to Gateway Canyons for a few nights and did some more outdoor activities there, and then they did a wine tour in Grand Junction. And I was scrolling through the photos, and I said, you were just in my town. I wish I know you were coming here. And she said it was the best trip. And the photos she posted were amazing. I mean, this could be an ad for Grand Junction, everything that she did. And I think there's such an opportunity for us to capitalize on the Utah people that know that as canyon country. Right. Because they don't typically think of Colorado as being canyon country.
Agree. Or even the arches. Another thing I learned, being the front ranger I was the second largest concentration of arches is here. And it's in large part why we put it on the back cover of our new visitor guide just released this week. So we're very careful with that, though. We do educate people on what type of hike that is. That falls into our destination management piece. We have a full page on leave no trace principles on the inside back cover of the guide. Fairly unusual for a DMO to devote that amount of education in a guide. But again, we really want to make sure we protect this area. And we know tourism has an impact to a community.
Absolutely.
And we want to make sure that we minimize that impact.
So let's talk about this guide a little bit more, because
Sure.
it's not on the stands yet, but
Soon.
we have an advanced copy. It's beautiful. And there's no ads in here, right?
Correct.
It's just
Very
all
unusual as well.
information, and
We're really
so
proud of that.
It's really nice, I have to say. My first reaction was, can we put an ad in here? But then when I thumbed through it and I think there are no ads, it's just about Grand Junction, not about any of the businesses here. But you can find information about the businesses easily because you have links to websites and
Agree.
all kinds of things.
Agree. We wanted it to be a trusted source as opposed to putting ads in front and kind of forcing that messaging. And we know the community has many opportunities to purchase ads, and we don't want to encroach on that either. We'll leave that to other partners who really depend on that funding. So that was an important decision as well, because we could have easily added ads to this piece, especially COVID, and trying to increase our revenue because we are dependent on lodging tax. But we decided it was important to maintain the integrity of that piece and continued to receive feedback from the community that they liked it the way it was and just stick to the refresh. So yeah, we're really proud of it. We did add a new section in this edition. There's now a restaurant section. We didn't do that in the past because the restaurants changed so much, but we literally were making changes the day it was going to press, and we got everybody in. And it's okay if it changes. We direct them throughout the guide to go to our website for additional information and even events. We felt it was important to continue to list all of the events. So we didn't remove any of them. Obviously, we confirmed with all the event promoters and managers. We did reorganize the events based on season that they are historically hosted in,
Right.
but we did remove the dates. So there's quite a few subtle COVID changes in there. There's a few photos of crowds, but a little looser than what we've done in the past. But we're really proud of it. The front and back cover are by Michael Roosh, who was born and raised in Grand Junction, still has family here. Really proud of his images. And he actually wrote a story inside the guide that will bring chills to you. Every time I read it, I get goosebumps. It's really amazing.
That's great.
So the team's worked really hard on it. They deserve a ton of credit.
I bet. I know what it takes to put out a publication. It's a lot of work.
Exactly.
So this is a yearly publication?
Yeah, year-ish. So we try to have it last a little longer. We printed 95,000 copies of this. We increase them every year other than the resident print that we did last year. But it continues to grow in popularity, both within the community and outside. And it does convert when there's studies done on the industry-wide that say if someone looks at a visitor guide, either print or digital, they do extend their stay. And that's what we're trying to accomplish as well.
So where can people pick these up in Grand Junction? And I think even more importantly, where else are they distributed where people that might not know about Grand Junction, where can they pick it up?
We mail them. So a few ways. You can go to our homepage on visitgrandjunction.com. In the upper right corner, it says order a guide. And that's where you can view the digital guide as well. And we have hundreds of thousands of digital views of the guide, and we track all of that. We know what pages they're clicking on and what links, and that helps us with our actionable strategies of what people are interested in or what we might be missing. And then they will be distributed outside the visitor center, which is temporarily closed due to COVID, but we stock it outside so people can stop by and pick one up. And then there's areas around the community, I think here as well, Christy, where we have racks of the guide. Many hotels, retail stores, restaurants, any establishment that would like a rack, a typical magazine rack, we stock it and then we stop by when it's running low and fill it. So if any business in town would like one, we take care of all of that and we refill it as needed. So it's really nice.
And are they stocked at welcome centers?
Yes.
Throughout the state?
Yes, outside the area, all the state welcome centers, AAA offices, other travel companies, the airport. There's really no limit to where we put it. If someone asks, we ask them, would you like a case or a rack? And the more places, the better.
Yes.
The digital copy obviously gets a lot of leverage.
And we were talking earlier about an insert that's going into the Colorado Visitor's Guide.
So we have exclusive rights to this insert. This will be our third year producing it. So anyone that requests the Colorado Official Visitor Guide, that's produced yearly as well. The Grand Junction insert is literally on top, and then the whole thing is bubble wrapped. So when people receive their state guide, it really helps Grand Junction stand out, and it really is this coffee table piece or something you put on your fridge that we think lasts longer than the actual guide, which is quite big. Eventually that winds up in a closet, but we've heard that this piece people keep for a long time, and we keep it out.
It is really beautiful.
We also do a lot with postcards, especially post-COVID. We thought we'd lean into some traditional marketing, some guerrilla marketing. So we've been sending out e-newsletters through the state list saying, if you'd like a postcard in the mail. And we had a little jingle that went with it, a little poem that said, none of us love getting mail, except when we get a postcard from a beautiful place. And we'd love to send you a beautiful postcard. And so many people are requesting those postcards from all over the country.
Oh, I love it.
And we did that for residents last year as well. Everyone who received a visitor guide last year, they got a postcard, and we asked them to mail it to someone who's never been to Grand Junction before. And then we asked them to email us and tell us where they mailed it, and then they were entered into a contest. So postcards have been really fun for us. We've just had a huge response to the postcards, and we just purchased a bunch more. They're super economical, and we throw a stamp on it. And the first 3,000 of these that we'll be mailing out to people who've requested them, they receive 2 stamp postcards, one of the front and one of the back of the guide. And we were saying in a letter, hopefully you come visit, bring these postcards with you, fill them out and mail them while you're here, to kind of complete that circle. So it's been fun. Some creative ways the team has come up with.
And you have a team of 8, you said?
When we're fully staffed. Everyone dabbles in data. So these positions are currently difficult to fill because we're really at the very lead of what marketing is doing from a data standpoint. And these positions haven't been around for very long. But now that it's been about 1.5 years, 2 years that these positions have been in the market, we think we'll have some better luck. And post-COVID will help too. There are benefits of COVID, right? Unemployment was really low pre-COVID. It was hard to find people, but now we've got some new folks that are looking to expand their marketing horizon, and we're starting to attract them.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about the trends that you're seeing in tourism here. And COVID has obviously changed things, but what trends were you seeing before COVID, and what do you expect the long range trends to be here, and how has COVID affected things? I mean, how far down has the lodging tax dropped, and how has that affected you? But I want to think about, I mean, obviously we that live here know lots of people are coming here. Lots of people want to live here, and we feel like we're getting more tourists from different areas. So talk a little bit about the trends that you were seeing before COVID.
We were seeing some substantial growth in visitation. We were very cognizant to spread these people out as much as possible, but we were seeing some significant growth. I think it was appropriate. It's not a dial on the wall that we can turn on and off, but we knew that there was opportunity to grow tourism in this community. And we were hearing from businesses that they really needed an extra push from tourism. If we've learned anything from COVID nationally, these businesses can't survive with just resident purchase, whether it's restaurant or retail or activities. So there was healthy growth pre-COVID. Post-COVID and the time we're in now, we're still doing okay. Certainly businesses are hurting in this community, and we're doing everything we can to help them. But during the quarantine that was happening nationally, instead of just shutting down our marketing, we did create a Roam from Home campaign. And that was a very responsible messaging of not inviting people, but we saw it as an opportunity to educate people about what the Grand Junction area offered, because that's a huge gap in the market, right? Still people don't know about our area. So we created a grid of photos with no one in the photos, just beautiful scenery, and deployed this messaging digitally to people. And we let them know, please don't come visit, but here's an opportunity to learn about us. So when visitation does open up, either by state or by country, we've kind of laid that foundation. So that was a significant part of our strategy during COVID. We also, as DMOs, you kind of turn inward and start helping the community even more. So we created a Google Sheet that was live that businesses could go in on their own, or we would do it for them. And it was everything from restaurants, hours with the to-go and the takeout, a nice partnership with the city as far as the Eat Out campaign. That was a lot of fun. There was GJ Strong and then GJ Strong Appetite. That was a lot of fun. So we promoted that. And just advertising the hours of businesses. And as they would open, we would give them a bit of a nudge on the marketing side. And it seems to have worked because our numbers aren't as dire as we're seeing in the state and even the country. So although we're about 48% below last year to date for lodging tax, our most obvious barometer. We think we'll end the year at about 38% below 2019. And that's ahead of the country, which likely will end up at 50% below 2019. So we're pacing ahead of the state and the country. But again, we don't want to get too far ahead. We're pretty comfortable with where we are now. We don't want to attract too much visitation. We stay really close, obviously, to the COVID numbers and Mesa County Health, and obviously the restrictions with the governor and the state rules.
Right.
We follow those really closely.
And it could be a complicated message, I think, for lots of people in lots of industries. How do you say, we want you, but not too many at one time?
Yeah.
Not all at once.
We do that with the length of stay. So if we have limited revenue and limited time. So in some cases, that's a good thing. So we can't market to all of these cities that we would love to. And then we choose longer length of stay. And sometimes that depends on season as well. So we monitor that.
What do you see as that ideal length of stay for the tourists you're targeting?
We'd like to get it to about 4 nights. Depending on the city, it's 1.5 to 2. And we'd like to get it to 4 because that's when they are visiting multiple restaurants and shopping at multiple retail stores. And you're not flipping rooms constantly. It reduces the amount of cars into the community. So that would be ideal. And I think we can get there.
Are you doing surveys with people that are traveling here, and what kind of data are you seeing? What do you think that Grand Junction still lacks that tourists want to see in our community?
Yeah, so this came out in our branding. We'll be sharing publicly soon the final recommendations of the branding process. This has been a 1.5 years of working with the community. We did a lot of executions within the city. We can talk about that if there's time. But the consumers are intrigued about what we have here. We just need to communicate confidently what we have that's unique. So one of the things that came out of the branding, which we're really excited about, is residents are confident about Grand Junction. I think historically the messaging was Grand Junction just doesn't have the confidence it needs. But that's changed. And I think it's recent. A lot of changes have happened thanks to the partnerships in the community and the great organizations like GJEP and the Chamber and Airport and Sports Commission. I think all of that has been elevated organizationally and then individual businesses as well. So the residents through our branding surveys absolutely said they were confident. I think what's lacking is how to message that confidently. And we're going to be helping with that as part of our branding and how we communicate with the public. And we'll give them tools and resources and assets to say, here you can apply this to your own brand. This will not only help you, but it'll, raise all ships and help the community as a whole. But yeah, consumers, once they hear about us, they do want to visit. And again, once they visit, they often tend to come back. Our research is showing that as well. We're not a bucket list Disneyland check and that's it. Once they visit, they absolutely want to come back. And, we're not surprised, right? Like the monument and the mesa and the book cliffs and the rivers. So much to do here. There is. They just don't know about it. So it's not overcomplicated. I think people look for this silver bullet when branding is finished, and they look for a logo and a fancy tagline, and we've avoided that at all costs. We may get a new logo at the end of this branding exercise. It's not something we're focused on. In fact, we removed the logo from this visitor guide purposely just to distance ourselves from that conversation. Yeah, you'll find it in the book, but it's not something that needs to be our brand. So that was a subtle way to say, you know what, we're so much more important than a logo. And we'll see what comes out of it. We may end up with a logo. We'll see.
Our brand is the experience that people have when they visit here.
Exactly. And the relationship we're creating with them. Exactly. Yeah. And it's not a tagline. So we did an outdoor retailer campaign with GJEP 2 years ago and created new imagery and taglines. It all comes together here. And Mother Nature plays favorites and don't hate us because we're beautiful. And it was wonderful because Palisade, Freed, and Grand Junction all loved it. And they loved it so much that they said, this should be our brand. So it was a good problem to have, but we said, this isn't a brand, this is creative. A brand is so much more involved in that. And the community has, listened and responded in that way. Again, when we did community surveys, I think everyone started understanding based on the questions we were asking. Something that came out of that was not just confidence, but also a little bit that we're a teenage city trying to figure out who we are. And we are evolving. It's a really good thing. Like, we're kind of in control of our future, and we're not overly dependent anymore on any one industry. And I think this diversification we're seeing is really helpful for our brand. And I think that's part of the confidence we're seeing in the community as well.
I love that, thinking about the confidence that we have. And I went to one of the branding workshops, and the word I specifically remember was when the guy asked, do you feel like we're sexy here? Because a lot of us felt like Colorado has this sexy mystique, but we thought Grand Junction just doesn't feel sexy. But we're getting there. To have that opportunity, and
agree.
We're becoming cooler. And how do you think that Grand Junction's identity has changed over the last 10 years?
I think more awareness. I think it's less, other than the identity of the residents, I think the boom and bust cycle sucks the wind out of a community, of course, and then you're trying to pull it back together. But I think the assets have always been here, and oftentimes it takes a destination marketing organization to kind of organize that in a way that the community can deploy it. So I wouldn't say much has changed. It's more the attitude of the community has to change, and we're already there. And now they're open to it. Like, you have to have confidence in order to take this messaging and deploy it. So we're seeing that. And again, some of the exercises we did with branding, you probably remember we had the holiday trees at City Hall, where we had wooden ornaments, and we encouraged everyone to write down what they loved about Grand Junction. And that was subliminal. We didn't say, we're doing a branding exercise, come to City Hall and fill out an ornament. It was just very subtle, and to get people thinking about what is special. It's already here. It doesn't necessarily need to change. And then we also did the Tickets of Good Cheer, where during the holidays, instead of people getting a parking ticket, it was random. So some got parking tickets, me included. But
we won't show you our stack here at the Christy Reese Group.
Exactly. It's our donation.
I think we pay for a city employee with the parking tickets.
Me too. And I'm one of them.
But we did like that. It was a really nice surprise to go out and find just a nice note on your car.
Exactly. And we encouraged people to email us as they're fine. They didn't have to, but to once again say, what's special about Grand Junction?
Yeah.
And then we do the traditional surveys as well. We did some COVID surveys even of how COVID was affecting them. So impact survey, recovery survey. And even though the Chamber and GJEP and CMU do those surveys too, that's a good thing. And then I just encourage everyone to be sharing that information and see where there might be some conflicts in the data. And then we noted and maybe ask the question differently, or all the data is lining up consistent, and then we all can really depend on that data. So that's something else that we've really leaned into on a community-wide level, is sharing information and cross pollination of ideas and strategies and data to help each other. That's really important.
Yeah, we have 3 distinct communities, but we can't all work together and bring more people to our whole area. That we have so much to offer in the 3 different communities.
Agree. Yeah. And our regional partnerships even go beyond the valley. You know, there's partnerships sometimes we do with Moab, Utah. Tourism is that way. Sometimes you compete, and other times you're partnering. And then the Southwest Mountains and Mesas is our new region from the Colorado Tourism Office rebrand of the state. So we used to be part of the Northwest region, and then Destination Think, the same company we're using for our branding, drew new lines across the state that made a lot more sense. And now we're in the Southwest region, which is Mountains and Mesas. So now we've created, I think, 3 different itineraries to move people around our region and get them to stay a little longer. Because just like your friends did, no one's staying in any one destination culturally that long. We're trying to increase length of stay, but they are moving around. So if they're in Durango or Glenwood Springs, we want to get them out here too. Or maybe they'll come here and stay longer the next time they come to the area.
Yeah. I get excited just thinking about having all these different people from all over the world come visit our area, and I'm sure you do too.
We do.
It's be really fun.
We do. We're tempering it with COVID. We're being much more direct with our invitation in-state, and then much more inspirational out of state. But we think we're primed for both. And as restrictions lift, whether it's a vaccine or what have you, we don't really know what the future looks like, but we can still lay a really good strategic foundation to make sure Grand Junction is recovering.
That's what everybody needs to be doing right now, right? Working on their systems, laying a foundation so that when we open up, we can really take advantage of that time.
Agree.
Anything else that you want to share about what you're doing at Visit Grand Junction, or projects going on or looking ahead?
Sure. There's a new technology we're bringing to the table that will be primarily for the businesses in the area. It's called Benwingo. Benwingo.
Okay.
That's just the company name. We won't lead with that, but it's basically a web-based app. So it's not an app. People, even though we have lots of apps on our phone, we traditionally don't use them. It seems like a good idea. So this is more of a web-based app. It's a website that offers the convenience of an app, but actually is a website behind it. So an example of what this would do from a free standpoint, and this ties into our strategy of destination management. So one of the things our team is working on is itineraries that are free in the area. So we're coming up with mild hikes, and there'll be 15 mild hikes, 15 or so medium, and a dozen or so extreme. And then let's say we'll say you need to complete 5 of these hikes, 5 of these mild hikes, and you literally can ping the app. So they'll literally go to our website, click on a link, they get a link on their phone, and then everything is super seamless. So they can go to the trailhead, even if there's no signal, and ping that they're at the trailhead. And if they do 5, then depending on the partner we're working with, if they do all 5, they can go to like Rock Slide and get a free beer. And what happens when the family goes and gets a free beer at a business, or a free gelato? Everybody purchases something, right? So that's kind of the destination strategy around it. There'll also be pay passes where if you visit these 3 museums, then you might win a prize. So a lot of it is gamification as a strategy, but we're super excited about it. We again, want to be really careful that trails aren't overused. So we're constantly reaching out to our public land partners to say, if you see a trail getting overly popular, even if it's residents, let us know and we'll swap that trailhead for a different one. And we really want to disperse the visitation. So this new technology is a great way to do that, as well as create really cool experiences. Another one we're doing is sculptures. So every sculpture will be on that sculpture itinerary. And then we may create sculptures that you need to see on certain blocks, especially if a few stores said, we're not getting the traffic. We're kind of at the end of downtown. We're not in the middle. We'll create a little itinerary around that, get people out there. People love to play games. People are just inherently competitive. And that'll be a way to drive some traffic to that end of town. So we're super excited about it. It's just going to continue to grow over time. And we think the community is going to love it. And the residents get to use it too.
Yeah, I want to use it.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
There's places, my husband's a Grand Junction native, and there's times when we do scavenger hunts with our kids.
Exactly.
And he's always the one that creates them because he knows all these hidden things that
we should meet with him.
It's so fun. Yeah. Lastly, as we wrap up, I just want to thank you for being here, and I'm really excited about all the things that you're doing. We talked to a lot of nonprofit organizations, and you represent every business in the city especially, but in the whole region.
Right.
If people want to know more, they want to get in touch with you, if they've got ideas, how do you interact with the general business public?
We get a lot of reciprocal conversation from the 3 monthly e-newsletters that we send out. So if someone hasn't signed up for those, go to visitgrandjunction.com. And at the bottom, there's communications. Just click on that and you could sign up for one of them or all three. One is marketing, another is stakeholder, where we share what the team is achieving and also how the community can partner with us to help whatever their mission or whatever they're trying to accomplish is. And then we also, the third one is a PR e-news, where we're sharing stories we're pitching. So the last one we sent out was fall and even holiday. If they have ideas, they can pitch those to us, and then we pitch those to press and Colorado Tourism Office. And we, again, a lot of people reply to those e-news, and I pass them on to the team, and then they take ownership of them and work with the business. Obviously, our website's a great place for information. Emailing me directly is also always wonderful. I love hearing from people. My email is Elizabeth F. as in Fogarty @gjcity.org.
Okay.
And then our offices are open. The visitor center is temporarily closed, but our team is at the office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5-ish, and we're always available. So residents will come up to the door, we see them, and they might need visitor guides, they might want to drop off some information. So we're very easily accessible, either in person or through email or our communication pieces.
Wonderful. Elizabeth Fogarty, we want to thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and learn more about what's going on at Visit Grand Junction, and we appreciate all of your hard work, and stay healthy, stay safe, and we hope to talk to you again sometime
Likewise.
soon.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. It's fun to talk about what the team's accomplishing. They deserve a ton of credit. So
Yes.
I just want to give them a shout out.
A lot of teamwork goes
Very
into
much.
this. It's not, we know you're not just doing all this single-handedly, so
No, lots of
good job to
collaboration.
everyone at Visit Grand Junction.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks,
Nice being
Elizabeth.
here.
All right. Thanks for listening. This is Christy Reese signing out from the Full Circle Podcast.